Welcome aboard the ship that's not explicit, but we are a little explicit. It's the Redenbacher. I'm your captain, Matt Murphy, joined by Commander Ben Bullerwell. How's it hanging, Brotendo?
Yeah, oh, Rotendo. It is hanging well, my friend. How are things hanging on your neck of the woods?
Quite well, quite well. You didn't expect that Brotendo, did you?
I, I'm not going to pretendo. I did not expect that Rotendo, bro.
And we're
Oh.
already off the races with the puns. Anyways, let's dive right into this bad boy since we got quite the complex episode this week.
Oh my God, do we ever? Yeah, let's.
Yeah,
Underway.
I believe we're receiving transmission. Ba-doop, ba-doop, ba-doop. Yes, that's right. This week we're talking of the fantastic episode Blood of Patriots, written by Seth MacFarlane and directed by the lovely Rebecca Rodriguez.
Killing it.
Yeah, that Rodriguez family really has been killing it with the sci-fi this year. She's the sister of Robert Rodriguez, the pretty well-known director. He just directed Alita, which is a pretty badass movie. If you guys haven't seen it, it's still in theaters and has some of the best fight scenes I've seen in theaters in a long time.
Wowee. So I didn't know that. So I am going to go check out this film. Yeah, dude, you should send me like a reminder on that. I'm going to go check this out because this episode was. We always say this, but this episode was phenomenal. Like,
The first time I watched it, I was like, "It's good, it's good." But there's so many dynamics in this episode with Ed and Gordon's friendship and the war dynamic of like what it means to be a patriot and stuff like that. It was really intense, and I enjoyed it.
oh yeah, I mean, the first time watching this episode, I got just about to the end, and then I was like, "Oh my God, what?" On the rewatch, you can kind of pick up on a little bit more, and like knowing what happens, it's really strange to rewatch it. But like, yeah, there's a lot going on in this episode, guys. Yeah, there's there's jealousy, there's extremism, there's deceit, there's there's so many phenomenal elements at work here. I'd like to take this chance to applaud the Rodriguez family, and specifically Rebecca in this instance. And also, I mean, goddamn, good going, Seth. Like, as always, good going, Seth.
Yeah, Seth knows this Trek, and this episode felt very, very Trekish with the huge dilemma that was presented.
Yeah, this was super awesome. I would say this is like, yeah, this is like a good Trek episode. And there's also elements of Star Wars I found. We'll talk about it later, but there's just like this one little scene that made me think of Star Wars so much.
Oh, it was
But
definitely Brosk or whatever his name was, the guy there with the like bulbs on his head. There were the
yes, it
yeah,
was.
for sure. I love that.
That was yeah.
Yeah, it was good stuff. But we opened this episode with our prediction coming true that Yaphet did indeed deserve a medal, and he got that Sapphire Star, baby, for his extraordinary heroism beyond the call of duty for work during the Kalon conflict. I love this.
No, this was such a good scene, man. Yeah, I just love it. It's just like, the episode opens up and it's your boy Yaphet getting what he deserves, his Sapphire Star. It's
It was a
freaking
big pop
beautiful.
at the Murphy household, man. I was loving this because like I thought it was like, is this a wedding? Like what's Ed saying? And then I saw Yaphet, I was like, no, no way. And then he goes to put the medal. I was like, yes, yes, this is fantastic. Yaphet with the medal is like the best.
I love the way it just like kind of lays on his gelatinous body. It's it's interesting. Like, I mean, he doesn't really have a neck, right? So it just kind of like hangs across his head, shoulder, kind of upper torso region. But it looks great off it, so don't take
And I
that
love
the
the
wrong way.
expression that he has when he puts it on there. It's like he's so satisfied with himself. You can tell by the way his like mouth is. It's great.
Yeah, I know this is one of the proudest moments for Yaphet, and probably Mama Yaphet if she's still with us. She's probably very proud of her boy.
Oh, for sure, for sure. We've been cooking up some good memes and stuff on the Instagram for the Redenbacher. It's at the Redenbacher. If you guys want to join us, we're making an effort to make that a pretty dope place.
Yeah, it's it's a new project that's underway, but we'd very much like to see you guys there. You can feel free to comment and share. It doesn't even need to be about the photo. You can just kind of express your love, hopefully, for the Redenbacher there, and chat, shoot with us. Do
Yeah.
do do.
Oh, I'd just like to say also that welcome listeners from the UK. We've been getting a lot of you guys this month, and it's been great. Ireland as well. It's been pretty sweet.
Yeah, a big global hug for all of you listeners, whether you be in Canada to Kazakhstan.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. I'm just hoping we get that listen on Pluto and Saturn that I've been waiting for. I might have to hold out a little longer.
It could be evidence for life elsewhere in the galaxy. They tuned into the Redenbacher.
Yeah, during the celebration for Yaphet getting his medal, Gordon brings some Eldorian vodka over to some members of the crew, and Ed doesn't want to take the shot, and he just fakes taking the shot when everyone else does. He just like throws it over his head, and they all kind of know that he faked it.
Yo, it's so funny. When I first watched it, I kind of missed that. But then when you rewatch it, you can actually see him just whip the shot glass to the like it would be to his right, and the whole shot just flies everywhere. But then he just plays it off. That's some good vodka. Like
It'd be funny if either like Dan slipped on it or like Yaphet like slimes over it and then like absorbs it and gets like a little buzz.
gets a little bit. Yeah, yeah. Whoa, man, what was that? Like.
Yeah. Yeah, so Ed and Kelly get a call from Admiral Perry, and Ted Danson's back in the house, folks, via Skype.
Admiral
Space
Danson's
Skype.
calling you on space Skype. Do, do, do. Do, do.
Yeah, less leg for those guys than us over here, just going from Nova Scotia to Toronto here.
Yeah, they've got some, like, I don't know, man. They're working on something different.
Some premium tech. So Perry mentions that the Krill are willing to sign a peace treaty, or at least negotiate one, and he says that they're going to try to shepherd the signing of a Lock-Vi pact, which is a Krill prelude to peace, and Ed is supposed to be involved in that.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, you know. We're talking finally. We're talking about a treaty eventually. I mean, it's negotiating, you know. Right now it's a ceasefire, and we're hoping to have, you know, a closer relationship with the Krill. This is insane. This is so crazy. I love it later when they, or actually no, it's in this scene when he mentions, he's like, you know, I don't think we're qualified for this. You know, you have hundreds of diplomats. Surely you could send someone else. And he's like, well, frankly, you know, like you've had exposure to the Krill more so than most of like Union officers would ever have.
You've
Blah,
hooked
blah,
up
blah.
with one.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. He mentions
His relationship.
he mentions, yeah, exactly, the relationship with Tala there,
Or
and
Talea.
oh, sorry, oh my gosh, yeah, Talea. And I'm just thinking, hey, well, if you know, if the Krill and like the Union are talking peace, hey, can we see Talea come back? I'm like, I said this last episode, I believe, or the one prior to that. I just want to see more Talea. I think she's a super cool character, man.
I'm wondering where she is. I think someone was saying on Reddit that she might have another show, the actress that plays her, so she might be busy. But come on, if you can get Liam Neeson and Ted Danson, I mean, let's be real here. And it's not like Talea would be on every episode.
No, absolutely not. She could be here and there, you know. It would have been nice to see her in this episode, especially, I think.
She must be busy. I think that she might be locked up somewhere. Something's going on where they don't like the relationship she had with them. Like the Krill might sense weakness or something like that. That's my speculation.
Absolutely. And they see them as like an inferior sub race of, you know, godless, blah, blah, blah. So maybe it's just like a matter of like taboo. Maybe it's just like really friggin' weird.
Either way, Kelly says, Admiral, what do you want us to do? And Perry says, you're to rendezvous with the Krill vessel, Devorokos, in 12 hours at Terrazed 3. And Kelly asks, the Devorokos? And he goes, yes, it means bringer of blood. Sounds nice. And Ed goes, well, that's cool. And Perry goes, the ship will be carrying a Krill ambassadorial detachment. You'll host them in the briefing room if you can secure the signing of the Lock-Vi. It throws the doors wide open for the admirals to begin official peace treaty negotiations. And he says, understood. And then he goes, we'll do our best. And Perry says, good luck, Captain.
Good luck indeed, because they're about to get a hell of an ethical issue on their hands in about, I don't know, 10 minutes, not even. Like,
yeah, if you need a peace treaty, better ask the weirdest ship on the fleet for sure. They'll get it done.
Oh, they'll get it done, but it'll be a wacky one. So later on, we're on the bridge. Bortus asks if he should raise the deflectors as a Krill vessel approaches. Ed's like, no, let's show a little trust, you know? A Krill shuttle, however, is discovered at the main Krill ship is firing upon. So this is raising some questions on the bridge. People are like, why are they firing on their own vessel, blah, blah, blah. The shuttle hails. The Orville calls for emergency docking. Turns out to be a friend of Gordon's. But we find out that later. Matt, why don't you tell us what happens in between then and then?
Yeah, well, aren't you glad it wasn't a Krill that came on the ship? That's my one use of that joke right now. But I like the way that the shuttle, they showed the shuttle flying through under the Orville's like quantum drives or whatever on the back, and then like sliding in and barely making it into the shuttle bay. I thought that was nicely done.
Yeah, it was a really cool scene, man. Like awesome execution, and then when he flies in the shuttle bay and he smashes the wall, I was so sure that it was gonna like puncture or something, but no, man, it was super cool scene. Emergency landing, sparks and stuff, injured crewmates, the whole wheel and deal.
Yeah, it's funny when the Orville crew members come in and like Kelly like presses some buttons on the shuttle. Like, do you know the codes to a Krill vessel? And then they just get Tala to like rip the door open.
Yeah, Tala, can you take care of this? Just freaking rips the door off like it's a paperweight, man.
And the Zillions, they know what they're doing.
They
And
do.
we find a frightened woman and an unconscious man. The woman kind of reminds me of Violet from The Incredibles, but not Incredibles 2. That's a totally different Violet. But I when I first saw the woman, I thought it was like, is this girl like 12? Like I couldn't tell. Like I couldn't get the age until like later on in the episode. It was weird.
Yeah, she had a lot of she was very like dirty, like physically, like
And her
it's
hair
kind of
was
hard
over her
to see her.
face.
Yeah, she was very like I kind of thought she was going to be a lot older than she turned out to be. I mean, I understand the actress is probably I'm
I
not
couldn't find her
sure.
age, but she's probably like mid
I'd say
20s.
mid, yeah, like maybe like 26, something like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was how old is she supposed to be? 18? Something like
Well, we
that?
don't even know. We find out. Well, spoiler, of course. We're gonna go through the whole episode. We find out that she's an invol or whatever, which is like a humanoid race. So we don't know how they age or anything like that. But she
That's
looks
true.
enough to pass as like what would be Oren's daughter's age at the time.
Yeah, she'd be about 20, I guess, because they were imprisoned. She was a baby, and she grew up with 20 years. So yeah, she's approximately 20 years old in relative to the episode.
Yeah, Oren's played by Mackenzie Aston, and there's some posts on Reddit. And it appears that he actually is like good friends with Scott Grimes. Like there's pictures of them like when they're much younger together.
Really?
So it seems like they
Wow.
actually were friends in real life, and I just like him and Seth are probably friends in real life. So they actually they probably had the dynamic where one was pulling the other towards the other in real life, and then Seth is actually like kind of jealous and probably wrote this episode about
And he wrote it into the episode.
that. I doubt that though. I'm sure they're really tight. I'm sure Scott and Seth are boys for life.
Boys for life, even though he's technically married to Seth's ex-wife fictionally.
Yeah.
Like weird dynamics at work here.
The woman on the shuttle is named Lena Channing after Oren is Oren Channing, and we call her Lena Channing for the guys, and she's played by Ailey Kay. Excuse me if I mispronounced that. Don't see that name every day, and I think she did like a really cool job of playing someone who's lived through most of the, like war most of her life, or at least putting on the guise of that of like a war torn child when she's just like this like weird bomb slave or whatever.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like she's literally her blood is a bomb. Like anyway, yeah, no, she did an excellent job. Like on the first watch through, like before I knew everything, I was convinced this girl was traumatized, like beyond belief. Excellent acting, very believable, almost too believable.
I've seen enough of The Grudge to know that something was probably up with her, but I didn't really suspect it until like much later in the episode.
Yeah, like
And
the shower scene when she finds the grudge on the.
yeah, yeah. So once the Krill find out that they've managed to get aboard the Orville, they demand that they send them back because they've destroyed 4 vessels of the Krills.
Mm-hmm. Ed's like, well, how? Like we've searched we've searched the vessel, we've searched the people. Like there's no sign of there's no weapon, like there's nothing. And they express that they don't know how it happens. Like they don't know how he's been doing it, but he has been doing it apparently. So this leaves Ed in a very tough spot. He's trying to negotiate peace treaties, and he doesn't really want to hand over what seems to be a very reliable, honest, like Union officer who's been through a hell of a lot.
He's one of their own who's been in a POW camp for 20 years. We learned later on. So like he's suffered, and they don't want to say this guy has suffered. I don't believe that he would go and do this. Although if anyone would have a grudge against the Krill, it would probably be that guy.
Yeah, I mean, rightfully so. Like he has reason to have a grudge, but uh, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, so while they have a communique with the Krill, Ed says that they should come aboard and discuss it in person, and they agree to send a boarding party of ambassadors. And we see Gordon and Ed walk down the corridor while Gordon tells him, he basically brings him on the up and up and tells him all about Oren and says that they were best friends from grade school through the Union Point. We know that they still have grades, I guess, in the future, which is cool. Uh, Gordon says we were both in our early 20s and we were stationed on Outpost 73. Oren was living there with his wife and their newborn daughter Lena when the Krill made a surprise attack on the outpost. Oren's wife was killed and him and his daughter disappeared. And Ed goes, oh my God. And he says no one ever heard from them again. It was assumed that they were captured or killed. And Ed says, and now here they are. And here they are indeed. We go to the med bay and we find Oren being scanned and he wakes up.
Yes, okay. So Oren wakes up. He's in a panic, obviously. Finn's like, your daughter didn't want treatment, but you got to calm down, blah, 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 blah. Like, Finn is trying to get Lena in there to do like a physical examination of her. She needs to confirm her health. Oren, he tries to kind of work his way around it, and he says that, she's been through so much, blah, 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 blah. Like, she hasn't spoken in 12 years. Like, she's lived her life in a prison camp. He says, give her a few days to kind of warm up to the crew. And she might come in for an examination. He says that he knows she's physically well. Obviously, she's not mentally well.
Oh, yeah. And that's easy to believe if you see people that just escaped Krill capture. I mean, any prisoner of war, especially young ones, would be mentally in dire straits for sure.
Absolutely. Like, not only were you held there for 20 years, but like, as we know in like childhood development, like the first 6 to 7 years are like the most crucial, like your environment, like everything, like pretty much a blank slate at that point.
Yeah.
And you're just a sponge. You'll absorb everything. And those are the years that can define personality very much, like how you're treated in those years and everything. So she was a baby and when she disappeared. Okay. We don't know the exact age, but a baby. So we're going to assume like practically newborn. Her entire life has been spent in a prisoner camp. Like,
yeah, all she remembers is suffering and being a prisoner, which is not good.
And that's how she grew up, so it's even worse.
Yeah, or at least that's what we've been told.
Yes, so is told the story.
Gordon enters the med bay, and Oren says to him that the last time he saw Gordon, he had a mohawk, and there's plenty of images making the rounds online about that with Gordon and the mohawk. I'll have to send you one. It's good stuff with like a big orange mohawk. It's or big red mohawk, whatever. It looks pretty cool, and they should rock it. I'd love to see a prequel, like an episode where Ed and Gordon met. That'd be fantastic.
That would be so funny. Yeah, I noticed later at the very end of the episode when Gordon's looking through like the photos of him and Oren, I was really hoping to see a mohawk in that, but
yeah,
no,
right.
Guys.
Someone else said that online. It's like, yeah, but I can live with that. That was probably before the mohawk days, because he said last time he saw him, so the mohawk.
This is true.
Just one flashback, even for like a 5-second bit, would be worth it.
It'd be so good. It'd be like a Family Guy-esque moment where it'd just be like, Gordon walking into like a class or something with his mohawk. Sorry, I'm late. Like,
yeah, Seth knows how to do cutaways for sure. It tells Oren that the Krill want him back in their custody and that that Oren violated the ceasefire. Oren says him and Lena were in the Krill prison for 20 years. They escaped 6 weeks ago by stealing a shuttle, and they ran out of dry plasma before they could reach human space. And also, I think he mentions at this point, or maybe later on, that he didn't even know there was a ceasefire.
Yeah, he denies that he even knowing of a ceasefire. I guess he hasn't been in communications. He hasn't been using his transponder, I'm going to call it, like his radio.
Yeah, he didn't want to, at risk that they get picked up while on the run. Because
exactly.
They weren't in human space.
Yeah, like you're a raccoon in Toronto in the daytime. Like,
yeah, you're persona non grata at that point. No one wants to talk to you. And this is a huge issue when you're trying to be in peace talks with somebody. So Ed tells Tala, "Can you please stall the Krill?" And so she does this because she's a fantastic security officer. This is probably my favorite episode with Tala so far. I think she was great in this one.
I would definitely agree. I think Tala was a very big role in this episode, A, and B, like, just super altogether.
Yeah, Tala stalls the Krill by asking for the fleet registry number and the mother's maiden name. Like, basically, she's actually like a border patrol agent or like a border agent. It's fantastic. Then she asks for a urine sample from each of them, and their reaction's pretty like, oh, I'm not gonna do this, and then end up doing it. And she said, I recommend going behind the crates, and it's essentially a P Corner 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Krill P Corner.
And I even made a nice little Dark Knight reference about it. It says you're either in the P Corner or you're sending people there, basically. There's two kinds of people in this world.
Dang.
No, there's probably
oh my god.
Tala keeps trying to stall, and she says that she can't stall the Krill any longer, and Ed says just 5 more minutes, but I think they stall like a bit more than that. And they imply that Tala's doing a cavity search as she snaps on the glove.
Oh, yeah, that latex glove, when she goes snap and it just cuts scene, you're like, I wonder how the Krill reacted to being asked to that one. If they were so, with the urine sample, they were quite taken aback, but yeah, I don't know. Super good scene, super funny. I liked it.
Yeah, I don't think Avis told him that was going to be going down on the ship there. Gordon enters Ed's office and he questions if Ed would turn Orin over to the Krill, and Ed says that they have a no extradition treaty with the Krill that prevents that. So I didn't know what extradition was, but that's when someone like in war that people can punish people that on the other side for their crimes or whatever. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. It's kind of like, no, I get it.
So like you'll have your own people being punished by your enemy, which is super deadly.
Yeah, that's scary. Your enemy, but also like in this case, like your ally to be. If you, yeah, no, it's a big dilemma, man. It's a big ethical dilemma. Like it's a hard one.
Yeah, we see Gordon's fantastic problem solving and negotiation skills at play here, and he says maybe we can offer the Krill something else. That says like what? And Gordon goes, like free back rubs or something. And Ed's just like, I kind of got to get back to this. And he goes, yeah, no, dear thing, I was just pitching.
And he's like, he says something after that, and he's kind of like, no, it was a good pitch. Like I totally get it. Like I'll keep it in mind somewhere. It's like, yeah, okay. Like
After the cavity search, I think they'd be down for back rubs. They could probably just wrap it up right there.
yeah, that would be the treaty signed. Done deal.
Yeah, for sure. The Krill probably debate the Orn issue with the crew of the Orville, and the Krill only want Orn, who they refer to as the Butcher. They don't care about his daughter, and I think they would once they knew what kind of blood she has. The Krill ambassador mentions that the vessels that were destroyed, the 4 Krill vessels, had 1,200 people on it, which is a big deal. That's no small loss.
No, that's a lot of soldiers. Well, people. Like, let's not, just paint them as soldiers, even though they probably were. But that's a lot of lives lost, and that's a huge tragedy, and you can understand why the Krill would be so upset.
Yeah, the Krill want to interrogate Orin, and Kelly says, look, Ambassador, let's not kid ourselves. We all know an interrogation means death. And Ambassador KTZ, which is like the main ambassador that we see through the episode, and who eventually ends up signing the peace treaty, says, the death of one against the death of 1,200, you're a godless heretics by nature, and even you cannot ignore such killing. And Ed goes, I seem to recall being on board a Krill vessel that was prepared to wipe an entire Union colony, but let's not go there right now. Look, our two peoples have been... I love the line when he says that, because he's like, look, you're still wrong in this. I've won the argument already. Don't even bother. Let's not argue with this. And he goes, look, our two peoples have been in conflict for longer than you and I have been alive. Hundreds of thousands of people have died as a result. We have a chance to stop the hate and violence right here, right now, by agreeing to peace. So let's focus on making this happen. Ed was amazing as a captain in this whole episode.
No, you're absolutely right. Like, even in that moment when he admits to Gordon that he's not even sure if he should be there at times, it's like, that is... Oh my God, he is a very good captain. I don't know what more to say than that. Like, I think he would make Picard and like James T. Kirk. I think he'd make everyone very proud. Like in this episode especially.
He's got a big heart, which is a good leader has, where you can connect with people and tell them, hey, I might be above you in rank, but I still feel the same way you do. I'm still human.
Absolutely. Excellent work here by Seth. Beautiful work.
KTZ replies, unless you return the criminal to our custody, there will be no peace. Our ship will return in 12 hours. You have that long to decide if it will be a lock-by or a battleground. And then we see Lena playing the same game Isaac and the boys were playing at the beginning of Identity Part 1. And Gordon mentions she has a knack for Bolden discs, and now we finally have a name for
it. Yes, I'm very glad we finally have a name for it, because I was explaining it as like... What I say is like
weird 4D disc chess game, yeah. Yeah, so I hope the Fox merchandise team is working on making Bolden discs right now. We'll have a fully functional set that you can buy for like $1,000.
Yeah, we might do a live stream and play the heck out of those Bolden discs.
Yeah, it'll be like playing backgammon online or whatever, like chess live stream. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it'd be super cool. We can only hope.
Orin and Gordon talk about how bad it was with the Krill, and Gordon thanks Orin for saving his life, revealing that Orin came back to save Gordon's crew and risked himself and eventually got caught while saving Gordon.
Yeah, that's a pretty big slice of pie to cut off right there. Like, and we know that he obviously did get captured, and that's pretty much the ultimate sacrifice. 20 years of your life.
We thought he lost just his wife, but no, he lost his daughter as well, and he had nothing to do but get revenge.
Yeah, and you know what? And after all of that, Orin replies to Gordon. He goes, Gordon, you owe me nothing. We were a team. So it's like he seems so selfless. He seems so... Like, what a deception all this was. But, I mean, holy cow, like,
Good guy Orin, for sure.
Absolutely. Like, wow. That's
Oren's
all I
like he's almost like an older brother to Gordon. Like, I don't know if Gordon's mentioned having siblings or not, but they definitely do have that like brotherly bond. And a lot of people, whether they have multiple siblings or none at all, with their friends, you listeners know this. A lot of people consider their friends basically an extension of their family. A lot of their best friends are like brothers or sisters to them.
Absolutely. I mean, like yeah, like you're right. I'm not sure if Gordon does have siblings at all, but you can see that he has an immense amount of respect, and he very much does love Oren. And it's crazy, after 20 years of separation. I mean, you would be ecstatic to see like an old friend again, and I mean, it's a vulnerable moment, absolutely. Gordon continues, and he apologizes about like Oren's loss, being Sophie. He says he wished he could be there for him and everything. Oren replies, "I was in a Krill prison camp. You were at a Union hospital trying to decide whether or not to keep your mohawk, but I appreciate the thought." What do you think about that, Matt?
Well, it's like when you're in your 30s and you're like, oh, I went to get something at the vending machine and the chips fell halfway, and someone's like, well, my wife and I had to take my sick kid to the hospital or something. It's like you're in two different places, like he's got his mohawk there, and they've got like an adult ass life going.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I get you. It's kind of it's like weird catching up.
That's why Gordon is like a little bit more mature, obviously, than Oren. Like Oren, I'm sure without the prison camp was probably a bit more mature at the time, and that obviously hardened him. But Gordon, he's 47, the actor in real life. I don't know how old Gordon's supposed to be on the show, but he's still pretty immature, which is part of why we love him so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at this part, they kind of start talking about the Krill a little bit more. And Oren expresses that he thinks that it's a huge mistake to be trying to talk peace with the Krill. We kind of can understand why he might feel that way after being in an imprisonment camp for 20 years.
Yeah.
He hates these people like to the core, I would assume.
He says that peace with the Krill is like a slap in the face to Sophie's memory, because he can't live being in good relations with people that were responsible for his family's death, or his wife, at least we believe at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a very intense moment there when Gordon actually says, he's like, do you really believe that? Like, I mean, this could give meaning to Sophie's death. And he is extremely offended. He gets very upset. I mean, he asks him to leave pretty much, like, in so many words. Gordon expresses like he knows that he's a patriot, and Gordon says that patriotism is only for people with large families. And that's very sad. Yeah, like, that's an open wound, baby. Like, just opened up again.
I took that as like, if you're a patriot, if you've like lost family and you're still fighting the fight. I think that's kind of what I assumed from it.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, obviously, like, patriotism is like dedication and love to one's country, but after you lose like everything that means something to you, yeah, it's a tough one there, man. It's a tough one.
Yeah, we head to the mess hall and we see Tala show Lena her Pelpifa. It's a Zelayan instrument, and it's basically, it looks like a washboard with like you can press buttons on the back of it. It's pretty cool. All I could think of was the holophoner from Futurama, and they must have had that in mind when they made it.
Yeah, I would agree, man. That's actually funny. I didn't make that connection. But yeah, it's actually a super cool instrument, super weird, kind of pretty. The show, like the holographic show, is gorgeous.
I don't know, like, as you can read this as like, oh, this is Lena as a prisoner. She's never even seen like musical instruments, I'm sure, or other cultures. Or there's like the other layer of like, oh, she's an Inval, where she's actually never seen, probably a lot of stuff where their culture, they can't go in non-nitrogen regions, as we learn, non-nitrogen rich atmospheres. So I don't know what their culture is. Maybe eventually we'll see the Inval later on, maybe in comic stories or otherwise.
Yeah, because we heard that there was 50 years ago or something from that date, they had agreed with the Union that they would avoid any nitrogen-rich atmospheres because, as we find out, their blood is, holy cow, super reactive.
Yeah, I've heard of hot-blooded, but this is explosive-blooded. It's a little bit...
Yeah, it's a whole nother can of worms.
This is great. I missed the end of this scene when I first watched it, but Tala says, my parents forced me to learn it when I was in school. It's pretty much the whole reason I never got laid. And Kelly says, just FYI, it's probably gonna get you laid now. And then Dan's like, they cut to Dan at a table back, and he goes, that was really pretty. I love Dan more and more every time I see him.
Yeah, at first I thought Dan was a weirdo, but you know what? He is a weirdo, and I'm starting to love him for his weirdness. But yeah, I actually missed that on the first watch through. On the second watch through, I caught that one, and I actually like went back, like 20 seconds or whatever, and I was like, wait a minute, what? And then I just started laughing so hard, man. Such a good scene. Dan is such an awesome, awkward. I don't know, such a great character. That scene was freaking hilarious, man.
He's kind of like the Kevin in The Office, where they don't use him too much, but every time they do, it's like it's great.
It's like, welcome back. We've missed you.
Yeah. Ed goes and talks to Tala in the security quarters, and he says, off the record, what do you think of Oren? And she says that she doesn't trust him. She knows he's a patriot and everything, but something about him rubs her the wrong way. And she says that she couldn't find any weapons on Oren's ship, and she also says, can you blame him for wanting to blow up their ships? If I had been through what he was through, I'd probably want every last one of them to be dead. Which, it's pretty rational. I mean, his motivations are clear, Oren's.
Yeah, no, it's true. I was actually kind of, I don't know, I didn't really have a lot of, I didn't really feel that way about Oren. But then, like, right in that scene when, yeah, he was like, you don't really want peace, do you? Like, that's a bad idea and everything. That's when an eyebrow got raised. And I mean, it's just nice to see that Tala kind of has that feeling too.
Yeah. We head to the engineering bay where Dan says he wants Casual Day, and we better get Casual Dan at some point. I hope this is like an underlining story that we get later on by like the season finale. It's like Dan in jeans or whatever at work.
I would love to see Dan in jeans, man.
Yeah.
Just like a band shirt. Like,
yeah, he says this to this new alien named Brosk, who I hope we see again. He's great. He almost looks like he's got like boils or something on his face, or like these like bubbles on his face, and he's got like an interesting language. And like one of the words was like douche. I love the way he goes like it almost sounded like Jabba mixed with some other Star Wars stuff. It was very Star Wars, as you mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was a super cool, weird language, man. Yeah, I loved it, and seeing like the little like subtitles underneath it, that was a very Star Warsy feel for me.
Yeah, he's like, oh, or something like that. I wasn't even that, but I could
No, it was
replicate
something
it
like
if I
that.
saw it like 5 minutes ago. If I saw it like 3 hours ago. But I know at the end he says "ovage," which is wonderful, and I'm gonna start saying that in normal conversations so everyone knows I'm like the nerdiest person that exists. So as they're talking, Oren enters engineering, and he says he's wanted to check it out ever since he came on board. Well, yeah, because that's where he gets his quantum plasma or whatever. And Lamar says, yeah, you're welcome to look around, and he does look around, and he digs around suspiciously, and he opens it up and looks around at containers and messes around. And Tala, being the fantastic security officer she is, head of security, says, she catches him, and she's very much onto him, and eventually goes and tells Ed and Kelly about Oren's suspicious activity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a super cool scene because like the music's like so suspenseful, but you just see him like looking at stuff. You don't see him do anything really, and you're like, huh. And then Tala is there. I love it when like the exit kind of happens, and she's like, if you need anything, like you can come ask or something like that. So it's just like interesting. She's definitely onto him, and he says, "Oh, I hope I'm not breaching any protocols." So he kind of tries to play it off all innocent. Like we've learned he's become a very cynical, very good actor in these past 20 years.
He's smart. He knows protocol. He knows how to play people. He knows exactly what to say.
Yeah,
He's probably
he's a
thought this plan
manipulator.
out, and he's pulled off a lot of destruction on Krill vessels, right? So he's talked his way out of stuff, and he's escaped a lot of places. Like he's almost like evil Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy, where he's been raised as like a Ravager, or he's been living that Ravager life for like 20 years now, and he's adapted to it, and he's flourished in this environment where he's like a rogue agent basically.
Yeah, I was almost gonna say he's like a dark Han Solo. Like,
yeah, for sure. I think he did like a kick-ass job in this role. It was really cool, and it was really convincing and layered, and you could relate to him even though you knew what he was doing was terrible for relations with the Krill and the Union.
absolutely. Oren is a very interesting character, and it is so unfortunate that he's not going to be in any more episodes. Like,
Yeah, it'd be cool if they did like a mini series in the comic of Ed and Gordon on some missions and stuff like that, and showing what led to that happening or the build up before.
yeah, it would be nice to get a little bit of backstory because he's such an interesting character, and we've only really got 45 minutes of him. You know what I mean?
Ed contacts Admiral Perry, and they have a little dialogue, and Kelly's there as well, and they basically say like they might have to do an extradition agreement because this whole thing with Oren is really blown up, and it's been rough, and it's going to ruin the peace treaty. So they might have to just sacrifice one person just so that we can actually clean this mess up.
Yeah, like I mean, there's a lot going on right now, and it can all be okay if you just give up Oren. no one is denying that Oren is like a phenomenal Union officer with a phenomenal record. Everyone understands his current situation. Like we know that he just got out of a Krill prison. He spent 20 years in there, and it's so crazy to fathom sending him back there. Of course, Perry understands, but like we just need more information. Find out as much as you can, and we're gonna try and save him. But like Endgame, like the Union and the admirals are considering like handing him over because it's such a big deal. And if they have dirt on him, rightfully so, like hand him over. Let's talk peace. Sorry, Oren. Like,
yeah, and I'm pretty sure Perry does mention that like we need the Krill if the Kaelon come back. If the Kaelon threat is still out there, so we need this peace treaty or we're all getting wiped out.
absolutely. I mean, it's so much more than just one man's life at risk. Like, obviously, they don't want to hand him over if he's innocent, but if he's guilty, then he does rightfully deserve to be handed over to the Krill as a prisoner. And yes, like as you say, like the Kaelon threat, just because they flew off, doesn't mean they're not coming back sooner than later, probably. So without the Krill alliance, neither the Krill. Well, we don't really know about the Krill, but without the Krill, we know that the Union doesn't stand a bloody chance. So it's extremely important that we get this like kind of ceasefire to turn into like a peace treaty.
Exactly. We see Gordon showing Lena the iconic Planet of the Apes movie as we see their signature scene, of course, at the end. Spoiler alert for this 60-year-old movie or 50-year-old movie.
Yeah, if you didn't know.
Yeah, we see when they see the Statue of Liberty and you realize that Earth is the Planet of the Apes. And it's funny, you see Charlton Heston say his line like, "You maniacs, you blew it up, damn you." And it's funny because Oren is blowing stuff up. He's blowing up ships, so it's a very timely reference.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's pretty funny. I actually really liked seeing that. It reminded me that I was like, wow, I should really go back and watch those like 6 films or however many there are.
And then the new trilogy is really sweet too. The reboot, like one of the best reboots I've ever seen. Like the reboot trilogy is solid.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think I've seen 2 of 3 of them. I can't remember. I know I saw the first one, and I either saw this. I think I saw all 3 of them. I think the third one's a lot of action, but like, man, that's like, the times are changing. That's what people want to see. You want to sell tickets. You're gonna make kind of more of an action movie. And
moral of the story, never let James Franco raise a monkey. That's what we learned from that.
Yeah, that was a bad call. Like,
yeah. Yeah, it's funny. He's talking to Lena about the movie, and she doesn't seem super receptive. And Gordon says, "Don't worry, the real Earth isn't like that." Like as if she thought that it would blow up. And like, although to her, I mean, she's like war torn, or she's just like a bitter Enval. Who knows? Who knows what she thinks of Earth?
Yeah, it's so funny. Actually, like, I love that scene. Gordon's just talking, and he's like, "Don't worry, no, Earth's not like that, though." And it's kind of like, well, she's never been to Earth, which I guess makes sense because, I mean, she wouldn't know what Earth's like. But it's just so funny because he's trying to like, calm her anxiety. He's like, don't worry, when you go back to Earth, if you do, like, maybe your dad will take you one day. It's not like that. Like, it's good there. Like, it's great. Like,
he just assumes that like Oren spent like 20 years with his daughter in like a camp. He would probably tell her things about Earth, but he wouldn't say like, oh yeah, it's still there. Or, like, oh yeah, I got taken over by apes. But whatever. It's still chill.
Yeah, it's like as if that's what happened in the past 20 years. It's like, oh shoot, Dad never told me this.
Ed enters and asks to speak with Gordon alone, and he says to Gordon, look, if there's anything I need to know about Oren, now's the time to tell me. He doesn't want Gordon to get hurt in the situation. They're bros. And Gordon says, like, what? And Ed goes, has he said anything to you? Anything at all to indicate that he might have violated the ceasefire? And
Are
Gordon's
you
like,
serious right now? Ed, the guy is one of the most dedicated officers I've ever known. What's going on?
The admirals are considering a provisional extradition agreement if he's guilty.
Wait, you wouldn't follow through with it?
I just need as much information as I can get right now.
Ed, all he's done is survived. He raised that girl by himself. She doesn't have anyone else in the world but him.
Gordon, I'm on your side, all right. But the sooner I know what's going on, the sooner I can figure out a way to help this guy without selling out the Union. Now just tell me if he said anything.
Well, he said he thinks the peace is a big mistake.
He said what?
Yeah. What of it? You know what? I think it's a mistake too.
Oh, come on. You don't mean that.
Yeah, I do. They're butchering fundamentalist fanatics. We shouldn't even be talking to them.
Gordon, you're smarter than that. Don't let them get in your head.
Oh my God.
What?
You're jealous.
I'm not jealous.
You're jealous.
What am I jealous of?
Our friendship. Orrin and I have known each other longer than you and I. We're close. And you don't like that.
That's insane. What are we, in 6th grade here?
I guess so.
Look, Gordon, I'm just trying to do the right thing.
The right thing is to protect him. He's a Union officer. Do your job.
I'll let you know when I figure out what that is. And that's cool, because Ed's trying to figure out what the right thing is. I'm the captain. I'm trying to do the right thing in quotation marks. And that was a little bit of Redenbacher theater there for you. I hope you guys liked it.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. But yes, what's going on here is, like, not only is he now having to juggle this big thing, but now he knows that he's under extreme scrutiny from Gordon. Like, Gordon is very upset. And in the moment when Gordon says, do your job,
Yeah.
like, that's very, like, oh my God. I'm surprised he didn't say, like, I would have said something. I would have been like, that's extremely inappropriate. Like, officers, like, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Yeah,
dismiss.
but Gordon's just looking out for his friend, just like Ed's trying to look out for his friend. So, I mean, he gets that,
Yeah.
So,
no, you're right. It is relatable. Absolutely.
It's so layered, this episode. It's cool. There's so many perspectives you can look at it through.
It's like an onion, You just,
There's our
That's my
Shrek reference,
Shrek
baby.
reference. Yeah.
Because I would have forgotten otherwise. we're
let's
we're
throw
gonna
it
have to
in
get
as-
air horns too for when we do. There's yeah. Sorry to
It's
with
number
headphones.
7. Like,
Yeah, baby. Yeah, this is lucky episode number 7. Lucky number 7. So Gordon brings Lena back to Orrin's quarters, and he asks how the movie was, and Gordon says, "Oh, I don't think she saw the twist coming." And it's funny because Gordon isn't going to see this twist ending coming, where actually she's not even the daughter at all. Talk about a twist, baby.
talk about a twist, man.
Well, the
Holy-
twist.
Oh my God, yeah. So later on there, Gordon is asking Orrin. He's like, did you violate the ceasefire? And like, he also informs him that there may be an extradition on his behalf.
Orrin kind of goes nuts here, and he's in the war. He's into like self-defense mode. Like he says, "Gordon, I need a shuttle," and he says that there can be no peace between the Krill and the Union. He wants Gordon to join him and leave the Orville. Gordon says he can't, and Orrin tells Gordon that he'll have to report him to the captain then. And he also mentions that he saved Gordon's life. He tries to guilt Gordon into the plan. He says, "I saved your life and paid for it with 20 years of my own. Now I'm asking a favor of you. Don't make me regret the sacrifice I made." And it was a huge sacrifice. He basically says, "Hey, I lost my whole family. You can take a risk on me. I lost everything for you."
Yeah, this is like master manipulation right here. Like, he is imposing so much guilt and like shame onto Gordon. He's making Gordon feel responsible indirectly for what happened to him, right? I mean, yes, you can say 20 years of one person's life to maintain another person's life is like ethically the right decision. But at the same time, let's not forget what it would be like to be imprisoned in a Krill camp for 20 years. I'm only 24. I can't imagine that.
Yeah, that's like forward till now for you there.
Exactly.
And we all, I mean, sadly, I'm sure there's many of us listening to this podcast that have had a friend where you feel like they're too far gone and you want to help them and be with them, but they're just completely different from what you know and you can't bring them back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, no, it's just a really tough decision for Gordon, or so it seems.
Mm-hmm. We head to engineering once again. Lots of stuff going on in engineering, and Lamar is messing around with some stuff, and he asks Yaphet to bring him a conduit buffer cap, and another engineer says that he's in the bathroom. I just like you just picture Yaphet going to the bathroom, like what kind of? It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, well, I mean, we know what the standard size, like, urinal and toilet height are. It's like, does he just kind of stretch up and pee and use a urinal, or I don't know. That's kind of what went through my mind. I don't know if that's strange or not, but
it's strange. It's perfect for the ship there, but
yeah, no, you're right. It was casual as hell. It's just kind of like, Yaphet, can you bring me a conduit buffer cap? And then the guy's just, pretty sure he's in the bathroom.
I like to think that they didn't have the budget to animate him in that episode, so there's like, let's just have one guy say he's in the bathroom or something.
You know what? Yeah, we don't have a huge budget like last week's two-parter or last two-parter. Like, let's Yaphet's not going to be really animated much. Like,
Yeah, Lamar goes to looks to go find the conduit buffer caps himself, and as he's looking, he sees that two quantum storage cells are missing. We go to the bridge, and he's telling everybody. He says that the quantum storage cells use a small anti-grav field to transport quantum plasma from one place to another. Tala says that's where Orin was snooping around, and Ed says that quantum plasma can be weaponized. Boris questions if they scanned Orin when he came on the ship, and Tala says, "Yeah, of course I did." But Kelly asks about Layla, and says, and Tala goes, "Yeah, I checked her too, but she has no weapons of any kind." Little did she know she is the weapon. And Ed says, "So basically, all this guy's done is steal a bunch of pens from the office. What am I missing?" It's not pens. It's like quantum plasma. It's not pens.
Well, it's not quantum plasma, but it's quantum plasma canisters or whatever, right? So, but like it's so I love that so much. He's like,
I
so
know.
basically all this guy's done is steal a bunch of pens from the office. Like, what are we missing? Just steal a bunch of pens, like
No, that
just
was
some
awesome.
asshole. Like it's not like a bad thing. It's not horrible, and like it's not really like too malicious. It's just like just what? Like, why is he doing this? Like, this is
Yeah, but
stupid.
most people that steal pens from an office aren't being extradited to the other office there. So
Oh my
yeah,
god.
there's some stuff involved there.
You know what? You're gonna go work for the other company, and they're gonna treat you like shit because our two companies aren't really getting along. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
pen stealing son of a gun.
And then when Ed says, "What are we missing?" You just see Gordon like flying the ship, looking super suspicious. Like, "Oh, geez, you're missing a hell of a lot, actually."
Yo, yeah, it's like I don't know. It's like when you're young and you like steal like $10 out of your mom's purse or something. Your mom is like, "Oh, that's funny. I thought I had blah blah blah, blah or something," and you're just kind of like, "Oh no!" Like caught red-handed.
Mom,
Like,
I took the drive plasma. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Mom, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we see Tala in her office yet again, and Gordon enters and asks if she wants a drink, and she goes, "Are you asking me out?" And he says that he just wants to get to know her or whatever. And really, it's just I'm going to spill my guts. I just want some alcohol. And he asks her what she wants, and says that they should drink just right here, and because they don't want to go to the mess hall, just in the office. And I've noticed this since Kelly mentioned it. Kelly said like a few weeks ago, was like, "No, I don't like to drink when I'm on duty." They drink on duty all the time on this show. This is like the second
It's actually
foreign
true.
liquor. Yeah, this is like the second time we see someone like drinking liquor this episode.
Yeah, no, it's true, man. It's like the whole like when Isaac and Finn started kind of getting
Yeah,
involved there. It's like yeah, they were all drinking, man. Like,
but I mean, how else are you supposed to get weird? So whatever. I mean,
it's true.
eventually, we need a character that's just like Julian from Outer Space, always having the rum in his hand or the drink. So Gordon, I think we might have all had to spill our guts at some point like this. He drinks his drink and spills his guts. He takes the shot and he goes, "Tala, I have to tell you something." And she says, "What?" Gordon goes, "Orin asked me to steal the shuttle." And she says, "When?" And he goes, "Earlier today. He said all he needed was a shuttle and he could stop the peace." And Tala goes, "How does he plan to do that?" Gordon replies, "He said he wouldn't tell me until we're off the Orville." And Tala says, "Have you told the captain?" And Gordon says, "No. Look, Tala, I know I have to tell him, but if I do, I've betrayed a man who saved my life, a friend who goes back 30 years, and if I don't, I've betrayed the ship and Ed." So he is in such a shitty spot here. And this was a wise line by Tala. This was awesome. She goes, "By telling me, you've already made your choice." Because, like, I'm going to tell Ed. She didn't say that last part, but that's what she's
But
doing.
it's implied, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, Gordon just says, "I guess I just wanted to hear myself say it out loud. Don't talk to the captain. I'll tell him."
Man, yeah, this is such a crazy part. Like, I want to go back to when he's drinking his drink. They sit down,
Yeah.
like, he gives her, he just slams that drink and puts it down. Like, Tala, like, raises her eyebrows a bit or something. But yeah, I mean, he just let it all out. We can assume that more happened behind the scenes right there. Because, as the viewer, you're not made aware that, Gordon actually doesn't betray anyone. Because
Yeah,
I was pretty freaking baffled, like,
he
honestly.
says, "Don't talk to the captain. I'll tell him." And this kind of helps us believe that he actually is going to join Orin, because the next scene after this, he tells Orin, "Let's go." We're not aware of their plan until about 5 minutes later of showtime.
Hmm.
Orin and Gordon head to the shuttle bay, and they're confronted by Tala. This is a few minutes later after the commercial break.
This is
And
such a heated moment. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, for real. Tala goes, I thought you were going to go tell the captain. And Gordon goes, Tala, please. And Tala says, I don't know what the hell you think you're doing, but you're going to turn around and walk back out that door. Gordon goes, please, don't get in the middle of this. And Tala's the badass goes, we both know I can put your lights out with one hand. Don't make me do it. Gordon says, I'm sorry, and shoots Tala. And most of us probably assumed it was like a stun, like a phaser set the stun or whatever.
Absolutely,
But,
I would assume so.
yeah, Tala's been getting shot a lot lately. This is the second time in a row she got shot.
I mean, maybe she's the perfect shot, though. You know what I mean? Like she's 10 times stronger than people. Maybe she's 10 times more. Well, maybe not that much, but she's hopefully more resistant to phaser fire. And if it is, just stun, it's not a big deal. But we know that those bloody Kalon weren't shooting to stun.
Yeah, she's drinking that Zillion rum, but little do they know she's taking shots.
Ain't feeling a thing apparently either.
Well, she's a badass, and she does say that like I don't know, that was kind of a lame stunt or whatever. It did kind of hurt a bit, a little too hardcore, but his acting was pretty good. He sold it.
Yeah, no, it was good, man. So yeah, this is when Gordon and Orin board the vessel and they jet, man. They're out of there. Bortus notices that I think it's Shuttle 1 that is launched and the tracking device is functional. And then we're like, okay, so either the Orville is like onto them, like they have a plan, or we're like, like now we're tracking them like hard, like don't let them get away kind of thing.
Exactly. The Krill captain tells Ed that they're heading to the rendezvous point and that they need to be there within 30 minutes or it's probably over. And in the shuttle, Gordon tells Orin that they're cloaked and asks the plan. Cloaked means nothing when we've got a tracking device, but Orin won't say. Just says that just to head toward the Krill vessel, which you can't really say. Oh, dude, let's kill ourselves right now. Let's just suicide bomb. So,
you have to wait. Off the Orville. Let's just boom.
Yeah, that's a wait until you can't really say no, and we're right there kind of suggestion. Lena's eating in her quarters there, and Tala checks in on her, and she noticed there's like these like boils or these like wounds on her arm, and it looks like it's time to call Dr. Fan. She calls Dr. Fan to come check on Lena, and then we see Lena pull the knife on Tala. Here's the twist, and tells her to relay the order, and she finally speaks.
Yeah, it was scary, dude.
Is Tala gonna die? Oh. We go to commercial break, and we get our badass line of the week. Tala says, "You ever met a Zillion before?" And she goes, "No," and then throws her across the room, and she goes, "Well, you have now." Well, she didn't go, "Well, you have now." She goes, "You have now." It kind of reminds me of like Norbit, like, "Do you got a girlfriend?" He goes, "No." She goes, "Well, you do now." It's not the same thing, but Norbit is a terrible movie.
I've not seen Norbit.
Good for you. Your life is better for it. Yeah, we're not doing Norbit references every week there. I can tell you that much. Yeah, we see Lena across the room bleeding like a weird yellowish blood, and Dr. Finn enters and tells Tala to step away. She's seen this before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, super eerie. Like, I was pretty baffled. It was scary, man.
Yeah, Lena says that she's too late, and Finn tells Tala to lock the door and then hails the bridge and asks him to set up a force field around Orin's quarters as well as a nitrogen purge. Isaac activates a level 12 force field, and Tala says, "What's going on, Dr. Finn?" And Claire says, whoever that woman is, it's not Orin's daughter.
Bum bum bum.
He could have hooked up with an Envol and had like a half Envol, half human.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we don't get exposed to too much nitrogen.
Yeah, but they'd be aware of that. Yeah. Or you probably have like a resistance. Who knows?
Yeah, there could be some cool new drug on the market that neutralizes that kind of. Yeah. Exactly. Anyway, so we're back on the bridge. And Finn says that's why she didn't want to do or that's why she wouldn't volunteer to do the medical exam because she's an Envol. Finn explains that Envol are a race of humanoids from a distant star system called Lakar B. I believe it's Lakar B, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so there's their blood cells contain a certain iodine compound that when it's exposed to a higher nitrogen-rich atmosphere, it renders it highly, highly unstable. So Kelly's like, their homeworld's atmosphere includes an element that neutralizes the effect, but they're too biologically dangerous for us to interact with. This goes back to that thing I mentioned earlier in the episode. It was 50 years ago they made an agreement with the Union to stay away from worlds with nitrogen atmospheres because it's super duper dangerous. Matt, do you want to tell us what Ed says?
Yeah, Ed says, and that's why most of us have never seen one. Tala says, where did Lieutenant Channing find her? And Dr. Finn goes, who knows? Ed says, could Orin have been extracting her blood to use as a weapon? And Tala says, the needle marks on her arm. And Lamar chimes in, oh, why would he use a needle? And Finn says the blood is too unstable to use an electron hypodermic. And Lamar says, that's why he stole the quantum storage cells to transport it. And then Ed says, and that's how he destroyed the Krill ships, by firing compressed units of Envol blood from the Krill shuttle torpedo launchers. And this is where, Boris says, Union shuttles do not have torpedo launchers. How is he planning to deploy the weapon? And Ed goes, he isn't. It's a suicide mission. And Kelly goes, with Gordon on board, with her husband on board. No.
God, help us. No, it's a really intense moment, actually. Bloody scary, mate. So yeah, we go to the shuttle. We're chilling with Gordon and Oren on the shuttle. So Gordon goes, 6 minutes to intercept the Krill vessel. Okay, Oren, you got to tell me what we're doing, or I'm stopping right here.
And then Oren pulls out the Envol blood bomb, which is what I'm gonna call it.
Yeah, that's scary as hell. You're right. It is a blood bomb, isn't it? Yeah, but anyway, Gordon doesn't recognize that. He goes, "What is that?"
And Oren goes, "Justice."
Looks more like eggnog. Like.
I love that line. Like, it looked a little noggish for sure.
Every Christmas season or like that holiday season, man, I'm just gonna be thinking of Envol blood now.
Yeah, someone should make a drink of like, Envol blood, and that'd be pretty sweet. Well, I'll be doing that.
Nog.
Yeah, you got to come home for the holidays this year for sure. Now we're doing that.
Yeah, we'll have an Envol Nog celebration.
Yeah, Oren says it's Envol blood. Just a few ounces of this is enough to destroy a ship's quantum drive. And Gordon says, where'd you get Envol blood? And Gordon says, Lena was killed by the Krill 20 years ago, along with my wife. The girl you met is an Envol I encountered at the outpost after I escaped the POW camp. She hates the Krill for her own reasons, so we joined forces. And Gordon says, you did destroy those Krill ships. And he goes, with great pleasure.
Damn.
we know for sure.
Yeah, Oren's twisted.
Yeah, he's too far gone now. He can't. And Gordon pulls out a phaser on Oren and calls the shuttle bay. And he says to Oren, he says, look, I understand what you went through was a nightmare. But and then Oren interrupts, says, you don't understand a damn thing. You've had a life. For 20 years, all I've had was loneliness and brutality and all that time in the world to relieve the memory of watching my family die. And Gordon says, I'm sorry, Oren. What war is hell on all sides, but the agreement can stop the killing. And then a fight breaks out. This is where we get to see Gordon be the biggest badass we've seen yet.
Yeah, this is actually a really good fight. Like, I was sitting on the edge of I was laying down in bed, but I was laying down in great excitement. I was like, I
stood up and almost knocked over the popcorn bowl on my chest, and it was good. It was a good scrap, good fight.
Good tussle, boys.
I want to see a hockey fight in one of these fights where someone pulls a uniform over their head, just punches them,
just jerseys them.
Yeah, jerseys them,
cuts them in the chin.
Yeah, bang. Good verb. Oh man, maybe I'll be using that move when the Redenbacher goes on another mission there.
You never know, get into some hostile dispute with a hostile alien race. You just jersey him. Surely you won't know that one.
We'll show these space hosers how we do it here.
Uppercut right in the choppers.
Yeah, the music here is really sweet too. It's very Star Trek-y when they're beating the hell out of each other. And Gordon gets the upper hand and then says, Oren, it's over. And then Oren just activates the eggnog bomb and says, we can intercept the Krill ship and do what we came here to do, or we can die right here. And Gordon says, Oren, please don't do this. And Oren says, it's too late. It can't be stopped. But it's never too late. And Oren says, if you won't set the course, I will. And Gordon just shoots the control panel, basically saying, hey, we're not killing anybody.
Yeah, I know this is a really good one, and honestly, I want to just go back to that fight when you said it was Star Trek music. I just thought that fight, I could just picture James Kirk fighting, just fist fighting everybody. Oh my god, it was super TOS-y.
We have all this tech, but good old fist fight. It's how we
good old punch in the chops really resolves a lot. But yeah, no, this is a super insane moment when when Oren activates the eggnog bomb, as Matt dubbed it.
Yeah,
I like that. Just it's all right, my decision's made. What are you gonna do now, Gordon? And it's I'm gonna get out of here, actually. But before that, Oren, he's like, do you realize what you've done? And he actually tries to use the comm, even though it's electrocuting him by the looks of it. You see him get zapped.
Yeah, he's desperate. But Gordon goes and grabs a spacesuit and says, put this on. He goes, go to hell, Malloy. He's done.
I know, when I first saw it, I should have known, because Gordon is such a bloody friggin' big heart. He's such a sweetheart. I should have known, but I didn't even think of it. I thought he was just grabbing the suit and gonna gear up and just be man, all right. But no, he gives him a chance even then.
I know, he still thinks he can save him, even though they've gone past the point of no return. He tries to save his buddy, but his buddy just wants to die. He's been suffering for 20 years. He wants to... he wants to die, and if he can take out some Krill with him, that's a great way to go.
Absolutely. I mean, the amount of trauma this man's experienced and everything, like we understand it. But yeah, like Gordon, I know it's like your mate and everything like that, but like sometimes you just have to let go.
Exactly. We hear that the Orville is actually 3 minutes away from reaching the shuttle, and Ed tells Martin to run every red light. So I think that they probably are going to get a speeding ticket next episode. I'm waiting for that.
Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, pull over. Like,
Yeah, we're gonna get pulled over by the Lantern Corps here for doing that. Uh, Gordon says, "Orin, we have to abandon ship now. Put the suit on." And Orin's just done. He goes, "Ungrateful bastard! I saved your life." And Gordon says, "And I will always be in your debt. But asking me to commit kamikaze suicide with you is kind of a backpedal, don't you think?" And Orin goes, "Go." And Gordon goes, "Orin, I don't want to lose you again." He's already seen his buddy gone. He doesn't want to lose him. And sadly, Gordon exits the escape hatch and walks into space, taking another leap of faith as the shuttle explodes.
yeah, man. When the hatch is closing, like before the depressure, or sorry, when the gates are closing before it like depressurizes and then like opens the actual like the hatch there.
Yeah.
Man, like when you see Orin's face like staring through the crack,
Yeah.
he's scared, like he's gonna die, and he didn't want to die alone.
Yeah,
Like,
he wanted he wanted to bro down with somebody to the end and just kamikaze this. Yeah,
yeah.
this is this is an emotional moment, and you see Gordon like flying through space and just dealing with that. He's dealing with emotions and just the vastness of space. And am I even going to get picked up? Luckily, the Orville's got a tractor beam and beams him aboard pretty quickly. But
But do you see like when he leaves and when the actual like he jumps off? Well, he doesn't even jump. He takes a step off. He's going quite good, and then when the actual shuttle explodes, holy cow! He is sent on like a tilt-a-whirl. Is that what they're called? He's
Yeah,
sent on like practically like the craziest goddamn Ferris ride.
Yeah, he's binging along there. He's going.
Yeah, it looks like he's gonna vomit. I thought it was almost gonna be comic relief, like,
No.
and then he gets like, it cuts to him and like, just getting out of the shower or something, like.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a good ending. This was a nice little climax of the show. It was really well built up and really well thought out, and great. Everyone did a great job in this episode. I think Gordon's acting in this episode was great. Like Scott Grimes killed it. Like that guy's super talented. He kills it on the mic. He kills it on the camera. He's a really talented guy.
Absolutely brilliant guy.
I want him to do a cover album of like all the songs that he sings. He's gonna end up singing on the Orville, like "Goodbye" by Air Supply. I'm listening to Air Supply. They are fantastic.
Let's do a cover. Scott Grimes covers this, covered
Do
by
some Billy Joel.
Yeah.
Slick Willie Joel. Yeah, and so I expect next episode we're gonna open with Gordon's medal ceremony because the piece wouldn't be happening without Gordon, going undercover and doing this.
Gordon's gonna get a Sapphire Star, and yep, he deserves it.
This wasn't for like a war effort, I guess, but like it was like it did, bring a lot of peace. So maybe get like a Nobel Peace Prize if they're still doing that.
Yeah, they should still be doing that. It's
Yeah.
good.
We get a peace treaty finally signed by Ed and Ambassador KTZ, and Ed says, "I hope this marks the beginning of a new era of nonviolence between our peoples." And KTZ says, "We will see. A peace is only as strong as those who uphold it." Because he's still a little sore about humans trying to blow their stuff up after the ceasefire. And Kelly says, "And of course, trust is earned." And KTZ says, "We agree on that, Commander." Kelly, ever so wise.
Kelly, you should be writing fortune cookies or doing something. You're brilliant, Kelly. Honestly, yeah. Kelly is such a great officer. We mentioned this so many times, but like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, Cassius, she seems in pretty good spirits, and Ed and Kelly share like a nice smile between the two. Mission complete. It was good. It feels really well earned.
Because I mean, they kind of expressed their doubts to Perry in the beginning, right? They're like, "Oh, like isn't there like surely you have diplomats? Like we're not really." But man, yeah, they had quite a challenge ahead of them, and they did it. Like amazing job. Yeah,
it was good. We then see a picture of Orin and Gordon when they were young, as Gordon's just staring at it, thinking. He's deep in thought, and then Ed enters and says, "Listen, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. It's not easy to put duty before friendship, especially when someone dies."
Orin died a long time ago, back in that Krill prison. The man who died in that shuttle was somebody else.
Well, I also wanted to say that I think you may have been right. I may have felt threatened by your friendship with Orin.
Dude, that's insane.
Why? Because every moment that I sit in that chair, I'm always wondering, do I deserve this? I mean, should this be someone else? And that's something I can never vocalize to any other member of the crew because they would lose confidence. I mean, I can talk to Kelly, but it's been a little complicated lately. I count on you, man.
Dude, you can always count on me. That's never gonna change. You're my best friend. Nobody is ever gonna come along and mess that up. I swear. I mean, maybe like a really hot girl, but other than that, it's rock solid.
Thanks. Well, look, it's after shift, so why don't we go get a beer and you can tell me about your friend. So we're drinking again. We're just drinking all week. But no, it's a nice ending, and I do love that line of like, well, I mean, if a really hot girl gets in the way, I mean, probably we're and next week they show the trailer like there is like a hot girl that gets in the way or whatever. But I can't wait for that episode. I love that ending, and this was really touching. I like this episode, and I think it's going to hold up really well.
Yeah, this is a wonderful episode. That like end scene there when Gordon says like the man that he knew died like a long time ago. And then when Ed's like, it's after shift, let's get a beer. You can tell me about your friend. It's kind of nice because he gets to reminisce about the good memories with Oren, like back when they were, when that was the same man, or so they kind of talk about it in that sense. It's just like a really touching moment because, Gordon lost Oren to begin with 20 years ago, and then he got Oren back. It turns out that it was an undercover kind of mission, but like what as the viewer sees, we think that he gets manipulated and he kind of goes against, sells out not the Orville, but he betrays the Orville, and all this. Luckily, we find out but anyway, so it's just really nice that like Gordon has lost Oren. He lost him a second time, really, because he thought he got him back, but he never really had him back. But he lost him again, so he's never gonna have his friend back, and that's like such a tease, to see someone that you've not seen in so long, and you want to really rekindle the friendship and be there for them and pick up where you left off. But
it's reopening the wound, right? It's brutal.
Absolutely, exactly. It's just reopening the wound, Matt. You're right. Like, Ed probably knows that Gordon's got a hell of a lot on his mind, and I mean, after losing his friend for the second time, it'd be nice to reminisce about the old times when he was still the man that Gordon respected and was friends with.
Yeah, it was a great episode. I think that season 2. I mean, season 1 was good, but season 2 is like next level. I think that there's no comparison, really.
Yeah, I would actually have to agree with you 100% on that. Like,
and I
remember, season 1's phenomenal. Like, don't get us wrong, viewers, listeners, people. Season 1's great, and we're gonna actually go back on the off season and pick up where we didn't start.
If you'll have us.
But yes, season 1 was phenomenal, but it doesn't have like the complexity and the depth of like the writing of season 2. Season 2 it's been nothing shy of phenomenal.
Exactly. It's been great. And as we wrap up here, there's one thing I want to bring to your attention, Ben. Did you know that in the campaign to hashtag Renew the Orville, people are sending in pickle jars to Fox Studios with Renew the Orville as the label? Hashtag Renew the Orville.
No way. Dude, do you want to? We can go buy some pickles, send them off, put them in an Instagram post or whatever, ship them off to Fox.
Mace, well, I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but the best thing to do would be to buy the merch, like the tweets, watch the show live. I think we are going to get a season 3 most likely. Like most sites are saying it's likely, but it couldn't hurt to buy some merch, buy the show digitally, watch on Hulu, all that stuff.
Absolutely. I know I have to go get myself some Orville memorabilia. I'm going to go get some, probably like mug, maybe like a nice ball cap. Like I've been wearing a lot of ball caps past like couple of years. I'd love to have one with just like the logo.
I want a Yaw-Fit plush. Make it happen.
Oh my god, that's the best idea ever. Or what was that stuff called back in the day? It was like Silly Putty or like I don't know.
Yeah,
just sell Silly Putty Yaw-Fit. Like you get the little mouth that you can like peg in.
Yeah.
Like
how do you make? You could do a Funko Pop of Yaffet too, but you have like no eyes. It'd just be like a blob there. I'd buy that for sure. But yeah, anything else that you want to bring up, Ben?
I guess that pretty much is everything I want to talk about. I mean, I'm excited to see where things go between the Krill and the Union. I don't know. I'm excited to see this quote unquote hot girl that might be getting in between Ed and Gordon next episode. But I mean, aside from that, man, I guess we can just stay tuned and keep watching. What about you, Matt?
No, yeah, for sure. I think that I just want to say thanks to everyone for listening. Last week's episode was it got more views than our first episode, which is pretty hard to do. So thanks a lot for that, you guys. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask and have read on the show, just email us at ussredenbacher@gmail.com or ask us on Twitter and Instagram at the Redenbacher, and we'd love to answer your questions. And with that, from the rookie Spanish sector, this is Captain Matt Murphy signing off for Commander Ben Bullerwell. Keep cutting that grass.